do you turn the camera on?
It's already on.
Oh, I asked you if it was filming.
I just hit the button.
Okay.
10 seconds ago. See?
Husband.
Recording. I went boop, start recording.
I didn't know you could do that from your... Was there anything in my teeth?
Oh, man.
Is there?
No.
Okay.
No, there's nothing in your teeth.
I had a piece of meatloaf.
Yeah, would you like to drive by Candy Thunder on the road? You see her eating a piece of meatloaf.
It's been really...
Like it's a piece of banana bread from Starbucks. You just like a loaf of it. Just
That's literally what happened.
Meatloaf. Oh, I would do anything for love, but I won't do that.
You won't eat meatloaf while you're driving?
I don't. I don't know. Not unless it's on a stick, like schnitzel.
I actually kind of felt like a loaf of bread because it's the one from Outback.
Trying to aim it more towards your mouth.
Thank you.
It's very cakey, very loafy.
Yeah.
It's like a piece of pumpkin bread.
I'm not even gonna go into the rest.
But meat.
But yeah, so it only got like warmed up on the outside because I didn't have a lot of time, so I ate around the cold center.
Oh my God.
Okay.
You had meat bread? Why don't they call it meat bread?
It normally has bread in it.
I mean, it's meatloaf. It's a meatloaf of bread.
Meat bread.
Meat bread. All right.
Meat my bread.
Welcome to yet another edition of the Dusty Thunder podcast. This is our second official Dusty Thunder podcast episode, but for the Reddit Said It Dusty Thunder podcast-ish thing, we don't know how many episodes we're into now. We've lost track. But this is Candy Thunder's second time here.
Yep.
Welcome.
Hi.
Everyone loved having you on the first go-round. Is that why you came back?
No. I actually liked doing it with you. It was actually fun. Start over. Re-ask the question.
Okay. So this is Candy Thunder's second go-round with the podcast. Welcome back.
Hi.
Not like you're not involved in everything anyway, but actually being in front of the camera, this is the second time. And we do 2 parts per podcast. So you're going to be doing your third and fourth chunks of content here. Are you excited?
Yeah.
What are you giggling about?
I don't know. I'm thinking about the previous question that's getting cut out of this.
You and I both know I'm leaving that in.
No, you're not. I refuse. I get the final say on what gets put in the podcast.
Yeah, but I do the edit.
That's true.
Okay, so for those of you who aren't familiar with this podcast, what we typically do is we review AITA and other types of stories. Many of them are follower submitted. And much like the normal posts and content that you see, I'll read through the story, and then instead of just me giving my own babbling thoughts as feedback, we'll discuss it together, which is great because having an extra person here to bounce ideas off of and to see things that I never would see otherwise has been very useful, and I've learned a lot through that process.
Have you?
I have. I've learned a lot.
No, you really have. And I think that you take being corrected by the public on things that you probably aren't up to speed on. Like there was one about real dad and bio dad, which is something that I never thought of. And I'm glad that people pointed it out to use bio dad instead of real dad, because your real dad can be whoever that person is to you.
Yeah. Biology doesn't determine that.
Correct.
Yeah, there have been a lot of things that I've learned a lot, and I feel like I've grown a lot as a person and have become more understanding. In some cases, I think during live streams and during that kind of thing, I bring that new knowledge into those situations, and I think I end up disagreeing with a lot of people a lot more often because I'll say, yeah, but we have to consider this other thing that I wouldn't have thought about before doing this kind of content, but I've learned. And one of those was like the guy who ordered the same thing everywhere he went.
Oh,
and
the
it was about ordering
guy.
like it was a cheeseburger boy and calamari girl.
Yeah.
There are some really good reasons why that kind of thing could be happening. And I took that into another story, and I don't know. It's just, it's a learning experience.
Chicken fingers.
Yep. It's a learning experience. And I'm glad to have you here with me.
Are you?
Of course, always. Always. And if anybody's going to successfully disagree with me something, it's
successfully
disagree with me on something. You know what I mean? If someone is ever going to correct me and point out something that I'm missing, it's gonna be
May.
It's gonna be May.
Sorry, my NSYNC roots are coming out.
All right, are you ready to dive into our first story here, or did you want to address some questions ahead of time?
I had 2 questions, I think, from one of the lives that you did, and one of them, and I know that we've talked about this, but it was, how did you get started? Like, how did this come about? How did you become Dusty Thunder?
Do you want to cover that?
I'll let you start, and then I'll jump in with well, I guess it kind of starts with me.
It starts with you.
Okay. Should we name the person that we were watching the videos?
Sure.
Okay. So Ava started watching, she wanted me to listen to the AITA stories. And she loved, I think it's I Love Lola is her name on TikTok. She's great. Like, her voice is so smooth and she's awesome. So we were listening to them, and I'm like, this is definitely something that Dustin can do. He already has the equipment. He has the voice for it. And you're just naturally talented and great in front of a camera. I know.
Shucks.
So anyways, we talked about it for like a month, trying to convince you that we wanted you to do this. And then finally you're like, find the stories and we'll just give it a go and see what happens. Yeah. So we handed that ball off to you.
I don't remember what I said the first time you brought it up. Do you remember?
I'm pretty sure you just laughed and was like, no, I don't know anything about TikTok. I'm not making TikToks.
Look at my beard. I'm an old man. I can't do this.
I'm not dancing in front of a camera.
I can't do this. You're crazy.
No, we found stories. You said find the stories and I'll give it a go. So Ava and I both kind of collaborated and found those stories for you. And then, yeah.
And then we started posting on August 17th of 22 and started seeing results and started seeing views and interactions, and the rest is kind of history. It's just snowballed from there.
Yeah. I mean, immediately when we posted a video, there was interaction on it, comments, and obviously I had no idea what I was doing either. I'd been on TikTok, but never really paid attention to it. And then, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought.
Experimenting when we first started posting on TikTok.
Yes. So we posted the story. And I remember like getting 1,000 views. I'm like, oh, that's a huge thing. And now we're like, we only got 100,000 views. That's not good enough.
Do better. Yeah. Do better, TikTok. It has evolved, and obviously as the algorithm changes, we've seen some ebbs and flows with things too, but we've also branched out to multiple channels now.
Right.
We do a lot with YouTube now. We do a lot with our podcast channels now. We're on Instagram. We have a Facebook VIP group. We have a lot of stuff going on all over the place, and it's different everywhere. So the strategy has kind of spider webbed out, and now we've got our website, we've got a swag site, we've got sticker stuff that we're doing ourselves. We've got a whole bunch of stuff going on, and involving the team as of January 1st allowed us to turn this into more of a real brand in a business. I'm
going to backtrack for a minute because it was like the evolution of Dusty Thunder, like how that came about. And it was because it did start to grow, and people started asking names and like who you were and how you did this. And it was not something that we wanted to disclose. Like at that time, we weren't sure what we were going to do with this experiment and how we were going to go about it. So you became Dusty Thunder.
Yeah. I remember having the conversation in the kitchen and being like, okay, we've got to give a name. Do you see this path going to a place where you want to involve the family and, have a social presence for the family, or do you not see that happening and you want to keep it isolated? And I think the decision we made there then was that we would probably keep it isolated. So I rolled with Dusty Thunder and in a video as a joke, told our Google Assistant to call me Dusty Thunder. And in the video asked Google what my name was, and it said, your name's Dusty Thunder. And from that moment on, I've been Dusty Thunder.
Okay, so should we tell the entire world what your actual name is?
There are some people that know.
Yeah.
And on Instagram, it's pretty easy to follow the breadcrumbs and find out. But I don't know that any of our podcast listeners know. Go for it.
That's not a drum roll. I'm not very good. You do the drum roll.
That's like a first year of band learning the drums. Drum roll.
That's my snare drum. Okay. It's Dustin Storm. And I'm Candace Storm, and we are the owners of Storm Cloud Marketing.
That's right. So the whole Dusty Thunder thing was intentionally punny because it's so close to our real last name. And also in our normal everyday lives, I have always detested the name Dusty.
And I have always detested the name Candy.
Yeah.
So it's very funny. But now, it doesn't bother me. Yeah. It works.
For our characters here, it's perfect and it works and it doesn't give me the same. What did I always say? I'm not a toddler and I'm not a cowboy. Don't call me Dusty.
You could be a cowboy, though.
I don't know that I could pull that off. But
I think you'd look good in a pair of tight jeans.
We're not going there. We're not going to do it. But for this, it just kind of took on a natural evolution. And like she said, our business, Storm Cloud Marketing, that team is involved with everything now. So we saw the potential of this growing into something where it is, the Thunder branch of things. And then we've got our Storm Cloud Marketing thing. And now, we had that conversation early on about the family, about not tying the whole family into it, and the whole family's tied into it now. We've got the Thunder kids, and Navy Thunder obviously is a big part of content because she's a toddler and she's so damn cute at this stage.
I know.
She hasn't gotten to the mouthy teenager phase like all the others have.
Mm-hmm. Teenager phase, I'm just going to say it, is extremely hard. And it is way harder than toddler phase. I think I deal with the tantrums from a toddler than I would with the teenagers. Are like cats. Like they just, you never know what you're going to get.
So we're toddlers.
You don't know if they're going to bite you. I guess same with toddlers, but.
Yeah. It's just more complicated with the teenagers. And the problems are everything's a huge deal.
Right. And they're just trying to navigate the world. And I totally respect that. And I was a hateful teenager. So, I guess I'm reaping what I sowed.
With the toddler, I think there's this level of separation where you're like, they don't understand.
Right.
They're not capable of making their own decisions yet. With the teenagers, you're like, you should know better. Like you should know to be able to make your own decisions and you should have decided differently. Like this is something you chose and that's why you're feeling the pain that you're feeling. That's why teenagers are so frustrating to me because I'm like, you know better. The toddler doesn't. Toddler's like, sometimes she knows better, but you know what I mean.
With the teenager, the sawi doesn't work.
That doesn't work. No puppy dog eyes.
Yeah.
Life is crazy and life is complicated. And with ours, with the business and with the kids, it's nonstop madness. But here we are making time to do a podcast and to get you on the camera again, which means that the logistics that are necessary to get both of us sitting down at the same table, not at home with kids, is mind-boggling. So we have to make the most of our time while we have it here. We better dive into stories.
Yes.
All right, you ready to rock?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to dive into our very first story, and this one is from Reddit. It's from the AITA subreddit, and it is, am I the asshole for kicking my son's girlfriend out of our house? My husband, 58 male, and I, 56 female, recently met my son's 24 male girlfriend for the first time. He's been crazy about her. Apparently, they've been dating for a year before he decided to have her meet us officially. What he's told us about her all seems great. She just got her degree, was enjoying her job, family-oriented, etc. I'm honestly just glad he's happy with her. My husband and I don't think he's ever been this into someone before, so I feel pretty bad about what I did. Mm-hmm. Last weekend, he brought her over for dinner. By now, we'd been anticipating meeting her with how much our son has been gushing about her. How perfect she is, that she's the one, in his words. They ring the doorbell. We open the door. She looks exactly like her pictures, which is a great start. My son is grinning ear to ear. Another great start. We invite them in. She accepts my hug and a firm handshake from my husband, and then she opens her mouth. I'm the one your son puts his penis in. She said this? How's that for an opening line?
That's in quotation marks, so that's word for word.
Icebreaker. I'm the one your son puts his penis in. Like, I don't know what was going through her mind right then. I guess we're going to find out. To be frank, I was appalled. I expected my husband to laugh. Both he and my son are jokers, and as annoying as it can be, I love it. But this was just too much for me. Maybe I'm reserved, but of all things she could have shared about my son, she told us that. One look at my face and my husband knew how much I disapproved. Maybe I let my expectations get too high, and it's unfair to have them, but I reiterate, of all the things to say to her boyfriend's parents, whom she'd never met, she chose that? My son was amused at first, but when he noticed my reaction, his face dropped. I felt like he'd sold me the full package, everything he'd always been looking for in a girlfriend. I was too disturbed by the visual it put in my head. Ooh. And it translated into anger. I told her to get out, and I wanted to say more about how gross it made me feel, but unfortunately, I left it at that. Fortunately, I left it at that. My son didn't want to go, insisting I give her another chance, but I was too fed up and uncomfortable by this point. Even my husband, who's enjoyed his fair share of raunchy jokes, wouldn't let up. They left and I immediately felt guilty. This was something my son had really looked forward to. I'm sure he did. And I feel like I took that away over a dumb joke. I tried calling to apologize, but he hasn't responded. My husband thinks she's the one who should apologize. I'm considering giving her another chance, but before I do, was I the asshole? Edit. I should clear some things up. My husband had no part in my reaction. I did the kicking out, not him. I don't want him to take the fall for this. He said she should apologize, but I'm not expecting an apology. Sorry for the confusion. My son lives in a nearby state. It can take about an hour to get back to where he lives. He also hasn't dated anyone seriously in a while, maybe a couple of years. He told us before that he wouldn't bring anyone home unless he's sure he wants a future with her. We've been asking to meet her ever since he told us about her, but he wanted to be ready. The comment about her looking like the picture shows my age, sorry for that. He's only shown us her photos she sent him, as he apparently didn't have any of them together. He hates taking pictures, and apparently she's always teasing him about it. I don't think he'd ever lie about who she is, but it's just a parental concern I've subconsciously had. I felt the same way about my daughter's then boyfriend when we first met him. I don't have any criteria that either of my kids' spouses need to meet. I just hope my kids are happy with them. Well, and that they don't say shit like that. What I meant by her being the full package was indicative of what he's told us about her. As his parents, we have a good idea of what he looks for in a partner, and she checked off everything based on what we'd been told. And on top of everything, aside from what she said, her appearance was how she presented it to be. Again, we weren't strict about appearances. It's just a relief to have met someone for the first time, and they look like what you'd expected. My husband said that I was worried about secondhand catfishing, if that's a thing, LOL. I guess it shows how anxious I was about this. Also, thank you for your comments and rewards. I've had a few people reach out to me personally too. Thank you for that. Regardless of where you stand, I appreciate it. I personally think everyone needs some room for improvement here, but I've done my part to make amends, and I'm waiting on my son to call me. I'll be sure to give you an update about how it goes. Okay, so there's the end of that story. What are your thoughts, Candy Thunder?
So I probably would have been like mouth open, not sure what to say, but I definitely would not have kicked them out of the house. I'm super awkward and uncomfortable. Like I say things that I wouldn't necessarily.
You would never say that.
I mean, the first time that I met your parents and your sisters and their husbands, we played Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah.
And that was awkward.
That's different, though. That's different.
I had to say some raunchy shit.
Everybody had to say some raunchy shit, though. That's the game. You know what I mean? And because I'm fairly certain my father doesn't watch this content.
No, don't do it.
Don't do it. My dad
you have to bleep it out.
My dad, you got to know something about my dad first. My dad has never farted in front of my mom, ever. Ever. Like he's just very reserved about that kind of thing and about gross things in general. He'll make funny jokes.
40 years of marriage.
Yes, 40 years of marriage. He's been holding in a fart for 40 years. Poor guy. Anyway, he, during this Cards Against Humanity game, whenever I brought Candace over for the very first time and they were meeting her, pulled a card that had the word spelled Queef on it. And this man didn't know what it was and went into the hallway to Google it, came back with his face bright red, buried in his hands, and couldn't say the word. Just couldn't do it.
He was laughing so hard trying to say it. Yep.
But the dynamic of that meeting was that everybody was put in that situation. You know what I mean? Like everybody had to say something ridiculous. It wasn't like you walked in the door and you're like, hey, what she said. If one of our kids brought home a significant other, and we have to remember here that he's 24. He's 24. He's not an 18-year-old kid. He's 24. So, keep that in mind. But still, whenever you're meeting your child's significant other, if the first thing that they say to you is
what she said
is X-rated, then I imagine it's a little alarming.
I would agree. I still stand by that I wouldn't have kicked them out of my house. I don't know that I could do that, but yeah, it would have been
follow-up questions.
It would have been uncomfortable. We probably would have been like, oh my gosh. And then we would have been like, tried to make a joke out of it because we were uncomfortable.
Right. 30 seconds of awkward silence. And then from the back of the room, I would have muttered, well, do you stick anything in him?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know that you would make some weird jokes.
I'd try to break the ice right back.
Yeah. So I can say that like in this story, she doubts herself. Like she says, like, I think I messed up. I believe I did this wrong. I shouldn't have done that. So, I mean, she is remorseful for the way that she handled the situation. And I don't necessarily think that she's wrong. Like it could have made the whole evening uncomfortable and then she wouldn't have had a chance to get to know her. I do think it's something that they will probably get past. I mean, hopefully.
Do you think that the girlfriend handled the situation wrong by saying it in the first place?
No, absolutely. Yes. 100%. Don't say that. I mean, don't walk into somebody's home you met for the first time and say that.
And if that's in character for her, I think the son also misrepresented who she is. Because had he prepared his parents for her raunchy sense of humor, if that's what it was, whenever she blurted this line out.
What if he told her to say it as like a icebreaker joke or something?
I sincerely doubt that was the case because of the picture that he had presented. It's possible, but I can't. I'm having trouble seeing that happening. Either she got nervous and just flopped.
That's such a hard flop. Oh my gosh.
It really is.
Dear Lord.
Or she did it on purpose and that's just part of her humor. It's like who she is. But if that's the case, he should have communicated that to them to make sure that they were prepared for what they were going to receive. What he did is kind of what we see in marketing sometimes. He painted an inconsistent experience. He painted this picture that was not how she was in real life. Like image-wise, sure, she looked like what she was supposed to look like. Checked that box. But personality-wise, she was way different than what mom expected.
But when you're in love with somebody, especially new love, you don't see those kinds of flaws. You look past all of it and you only see like how much you love this person. And so maybe he just didn't even think about it. He's not even acknowledging it because he's so in love with her.
It's possible. It's like Schmidt not being able to see Cece's slob, her sloppiness.
Yeah,
she's exactly. A slob. She's a hot slob. What are you talking about? I get it. But
so what would you have done in that situation
if I were who?
If Brady brings home a girl, he's 24, he brings home a girl and she says that to us, what would you say? Would you kick them out?
I wouldn't kick them out.
Yeah, they would probably leave a bad taste in our mouth. Like we'd have to work back. Instead of working from ground zero, we'd be in the negative.
Yeah. I'd be like, hey, Bebop, can I borrow you for a second? We need to talk, dude. To make
Just
sure
leave
that
me alone with the person talking
you
about
all
peeing.
talk and we'll talk. We just want to make sure that these extracurricular activities that you're talking about are being handled safely. You know, I don't know. I probably wouldn't have kicked her out, but there would have been a serious conversation after that. But also, I have a feeling that, you know, the 24-year-old version of Brady would probably give us some kind of heads up or a warning, and been like, hey, fair warning, she's got a really raunchy sense of humor.
Right.
So
I should have warned my parents about you before they met you.
you didn't?
No, because you were on love behavior, good behavior.
Love behavior?
Yeah.
You're saying I'm not anymore?
Nope, you're just you.
I am the reason that her father says that's what she said sometimes now.
Oh my gosh.
And he's how old?
He's 68.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
My mom too. My mom says like my parents have never ever had raunchy jokes. I mean, to me. And then I bring Dustin into the family, and now it's every time he's there's raunchy jokes happening. And they're not even him starting them. Sometimes it's my mom.
Yeah.
Or my dad.
I don't know. I mean, I will commonly use it as an icebreaker. You know, and I feel like the more filterless you can be, and you can be unabashedly yourself, the easier it is, like the less tension there is in situations, the less awkward things are, which is why, you know, in a lot of conversations, I'll run straight to some kind of inappropriate comment or joke, because it's very much like, hey, this is who I am. This is going to be a filterless conversation. You don't need to put up some BS facade. And maybe that's what she was doing. And if that was the case, it was here's me 100% raw. Then I respect it. But I do feel like he should have communicated and warned his parents that could happen first, because there was this disconnect between expectations and reality for them.
Right.
But I wouldn't have kicked them out. I would have just been like, oh, wow. Okay.
The girlfriend is definitely an ascon too, because you definitely should not have done that.
I would agree. Definitely shouldn't have done it the first time you meet them. Maybe build up some kind of rapport and feel out how receptive they are to that kind of sense of humor, and then test it. But the very first time she walked in the door to introduce herself as the recipient of his peen was... There are better titles. There are better ways to introduce yourself, right?
Right. I would 100% agree.
But I'm sure that it very quickly all made sense why their son is so jazzed about her.
Dear Lord.
So ascon 2, you think for
the girlfriend?
What about for mom? Anything?
I mean, that was her gut reaction. So, I mean, if anything, I would say 4, but I don't even know if she needs to go on the...
Could have been done differently, not should have.
Yeah, it could have been done differently, but I mean, she was offended, and she processed that how she heard.
Right.
Like, I mean, I don't know.
You know, I think if they were having anything other than Italian sausages that night, it probably would have been okay.
What?
For dinner. She came over for dinner, right?
Yeah.
It was a joke. She was too short for that one. Okay, so we've got an ascon 2 with the girlfriend. We've got an ascon 4 with mom. Could have done that differently. Girlfriend definitely shouldn't have done what she did there. Yeah, so there we go. You ready to go ahead and dive into story number 2 here?
Yes, and I also hope that one probably never happens to us.
Yeah. Here, okay, I meant to ask this question before we move on. Reverse the sexes for a second. If this was their daughter and she had brought a guy home who introduced himself as, I'm the one giving it to your daughter.
I thought about that too, and we got caught up in something else. But yes, I agree. It's 2023, so when we reverse the sexes, it shouldn't make a difference, but it does. And there's your answer.
Right.
I mean, she should not have said that.
It was very wrong.
Yes. And now I agree 100%. It almost is like she's between 1 and 2 because that should not have come out of your mouth.
No, not to your significant other's parents.
Right.
It was just a very rude and insulting thing to say. There was no respect given there at all.
Truth. So no, the mom is not on the scale. Let's go back. She's not on the scale. She reacted how
Mom,
she felt.
You've been pardoned.
Yep.
You've received a Candy Thunder presidential pardon here. And girlfriend is in between 1 and 2 now.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I that popped into my head and then we went down another.
Right. Well, and you're right. It shouldn't make a difference, but it does, because when I thought, we used Brady as an example, but when I thought about the girls bringing someone home who talked like this, I got way more pissed.
Right.
And I shouldn't.
No, we shouldn't. Totally. And I 100% agree. It should not matter which sex is saying that,
right.
Male or female. It should not matter who is saying that. It should just not have been said.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. Well, there we go. I'm glad we revisited it for a second. Let's go ahead and dive into our second story here. Is this a follower submission?
Oh, nope. I just stopped pasting links to stories. They are all from Reddit.
Okay. All right. So this is another one from the AITA subreddit, and it is, am I the astronaut for wanting my wife to make my dinner? Me, male 25, and my wife of over a year, female 26, together for over 4, have always had a good relationship with each other. It has felt very love-filled. We recently got into an apartment, 1 bedroom, like 700 square feet, so not huge. Once this happened, I feel like things may have shifted. I work very long hours throughout the week, with sometimes only 1 or maybe 0 days off in the week. I average 75 to 80 hours a week. I bring home the majority of the money. My paycheck? My paychecks are almost over 80% our whole income. Not that it affects how I think of her and our relationship. She is able to provide things like fun groceries, snacks, and sweets, and when we go out, she can pay for things like the tip or drinks, and I really appreciate that and tell her thank you when she can swing it. She also does most of the chores in the small apartment. Other than that, I'm the person paying for our life. Groceries, toiletries, outings, clothes, makeup, and not to mention rent and all other bills. She works in a very different field and works 3 sometimes if her job requires 4 days in a week. She is working toward her career, and I'm proud of her for this. Most days she'll work an average of 6, maybe 7 hours on her work days. This is where the problem has started. A lot of my work nights are late, 12 or 1 a.m. when I get home. I'll pack snacks, but I never get to eat. So a lot of the days I come home hungry for an actual meal. Recently, those nights have been more frequent, and I just don't want to have to cook something for myself after a 13-hour day after doing the same all week. I just want to be able to eat with a minimal amount of work when I get home. The other night I came home around 1:30 a.m. and found my wife passed out on the couch with an empty personal pizza from Little Caesars. I got excited thinking I had a cold one in the fridge waiting for me. Wrong. Annoyed but not upset, I microwave some Chef Boyardee, scarf it down, and call it a night. The next day I have the same kind of night. Around 1:30 I get home. There she is passed out, now with a bowl of macaroni and weenies, one of my favorites, and again, nothing in the fridge for me. Not understanding why she couldn't just make enough for both of us and put my bowl in the fridge, I wake her up to ask. She gets a little snappy if someone wakes her up, but this time she was pissed, saying that she is not my maid and I'm being lazy for trying to make her cook for me. I tell her I'm just hungry after a long day, and it upset me seeing that she cooked for herself and didn't think about me at all. I said she was being I almost said insubordinate. That ain't the word, bro. I said she was being inconsiderate, and that really set her off. Saying if I want a word I can't say, then she's not it. But the word I can't say equates to a prisoner with a job. I told her I don't want a prisoner with a job. I want a wife who seems to care about me. She looked at me with a shocked face and stormed out. Her mother texted saying she showed up at their house bawling and how I should be more considerate to her feelings. I haven't even responded because I just feel hurt and not cared for. I just want dinner. Am I the asshole? Edit. I really should have mentioned this is a conversation we have had before, and I feel ignored since she barely acknowledges when I brought it up. These last 2 times are after multiple conversations. Also, didn't want to seem like she should be sleeping at 1. Passed out is just terminology I use. If I'm dead asleep at 4 a.m., I'm passed out. I appreciate the other things she does for me, like cleaning, but the other 8 hours of free time in her day, I want it to be thought of, since I would do the same for her, no questions. Okay, I see where he's at now. And they don't have any kids.
So I guess because he used the word passed out, that was an issue for some people.
I assume because you said passed out, people probably thought intoxicated.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
Or stoned.
My thoughts are that if it doesn't sound to me like he's wanting her to be a maid. I mean, this guy's working till 12 or 1 a.m., 80 hours a week. And if I'm making something for myself, 100% I'm going to make that for you. I'm going to message you. I'm going to offer to make sure that you have something that you're taken care of, because while you're not there cleaning the house or doing this or that, I want to make sure that I'm taking care of you. And some women don't feel that way, and that's totally fine. But for us and our relationship, I'm going to go above and beyond and make sure that you're taken care of, because I know that you would do the same for me. And you do day in and day out. And that's what marriage is for me. I mean, having a partner in life, and you pick up the slack when they're working really hard, and they pick up the slack when you have stuff going on.
Yeah, I think this is a really good example of one person, if not maybe both, taking the me approach instead of the we approach. They're not taking, this is not a teamwork thing, at least for her. And for us, yeah, I'm here more. I'm putting in more hours with the agency and with this content, but we have kids, and you are working almost all the times that I'm working, just in a different way at a different place. They don't have kids. So my point is we have kids. You're busting your ass all the time too, unless it's a night shift whenever you go to sleep to refuel for the next day, and then I go back to getting more work shit done. But that's the one time whenever I'm working and you're not. Otherwise, if I'm working, so are you. You're just doing it differently with the kiddos. They don't have kids. Right. So, I mean, does she truly have 8 hours of free time? Because that's unheard of in our world. But also, if she has that amount of time truly available and it's not allocated to something else, and she's still taking the me approach and only thinking about herself, that's a problem. I
truly can't see myself ordering a pizza and not ordering for you. Like, that is confusing to me. And if she doesn't want to feel like a maid or like a
prisoner with jobs,
with a job that we can't say, meal prep. So they take the brunt of the work together so that things are ready to go. I mean, put stuff in the freezer, buy stuff that, I don't know. I mean, work together to come up with a solution. But he also said that he tried to talk to her twice, and she's not listening. And she's only seeing that he's asking her for something and not acknowledging that, like, what he's asking. She's not looking at the content of the situation. She's just looking at the fact that he's asking her to do something.
How dare he?
Yeah, it actually really bothers me, this one.
So she's acting like she's single. She's acting like they're roommates. You know what I mean? Like, if you live with someone, and even roommates would probably ask each other if they wanted them to order them a pizza too or something. There would probably be even more consideration than she's showing to her husband. But she's acting single and really only thinking about herself. Here's the kicker, though. She's treating this like a roommate, but he's paying for everything. Almost everything. Right. And normally, if there is some kind of imbalance in that side of things, the balance is restored because she's taking care of him in other ways, right? And that's where, we talked about with us.
I don't even think money comes into the equation for me. It's, if you take money out of it, if I'm doing something for myself and I know that you would also enjoy that thing, I'm sure as hell going to do it for you too, because money doesn't even, I don't care how much money you're bringing home. Like, I want you to be my partner. I want to take care of you. And you take care of me. Sure. And I don't even think it matters that he's bringing the majority of the money home.
It shouldn't. But if she is behaving like he's a roommate, then money does matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where I'm going with that. Not that it should matter in a marriage at all, like how much he's bringing in or how much of his job is paying for X amount of of their bills. It's because she's taking this me approach like a roommate would instead of a spouse and abusing it.
Right. I mean, if I had 8 hours to myself, like,
oh my gosh.
Right? Woo.
There are so many things that I would get caught up on.
Oh, I'd be making some serious dishes. You'd be trying new stuff all the time. It would be amazing. But he also definitely made a mistake by waking her up and talking about this. Because if you woke me up,
Hey.
yeah.
Hey.
If you woke me up and was like, where's my food? I'd be like, screw you. Go look for something yourself. But I don't wake up in a good way. It takes me some time.
It sounds like he knew that about her too, though. And if you know that someone doesn't wake up
right,
bright and happy, then certainly don't wake them up to ask them about something they didn't do for you. That's just dangerous. Like,
yep.
That's not the play, bro. That's not the play. I feel like he has a right to be upset, but
Agreed.
This is one of those things that you wait and talk about.
He was at his tipping point because he let it build and build. And he did say he talked to her, but she brushed him off. But he definitely reached a point where he was like, really? The macaroni and cheese and hot dogs?
Yeah. So how could he have done this? How could he approach this differently? Because she has a behavior right now that what he's tried so far to address isn't working. What can he do differently to actually affect positive change here?
I would suggest the meal planning. Hey, this night, do you mind putting this in the oven? This night, I'll DoorDash something to the office or wherever he's working at. Do something like that so that she doesn't feel responsible for providing him with food every single night. But the food is already thought out. Like, she doesn't have to think ahead to know what she's making or,
right.
I don't know, meal plan.
Plan ahead.
Yep.
Communicate about the plan instead of making it a reactive thing.
Right. And don't it, as a woman, it sucks when the brunt of deciding what is for dinner gets put on you. And I know that happens in a lot of because your kids are asking what's for dinner. And then it just happens. But
and then you'll ask me and I'm like, I literally don't care.
And I'm like, I don't care.
My brain is so fried. I can't process what's to eat for dinner right now. So
taking that off the table where you don't have to decide what's for dinner. You just know that this is what we've planned out. The groceries, buy what you need according to your meal plan and
take it off the table. That's punny.
Yeah.
High five for the pun. Okay, so where would you put OP on the ascon scale here? I mean, based on what you said, he'd be a 4.
Yeah, because don't wake up your wife and ask her where your food is.
Where my food at? I'm sure it wasn't like that, but
text her beforehand and be like, hey, what are you having for dinner? Do you mind putting some of that in the fridge for me? Yeah. I mean, that's another thing if you don't want a meal plan. I don't know. It
could have been done differently.
I think her running to her mom, though, and then the mom texting the husband, no.
I'm sure the story that she got from her daughter was not 100% accurate.
No, but you don't run out at 1 a.m. and go to your mom's house. And,
he asked me to make him food.
Yeah. And then have your mom text your husband?
Yeah.
That's no.
Yeah, it's not looking good for her. So where would you put her on the ascon scale?
That's a 2.
She's a 2?
You don't have your mom text your husband. Unless it's about,
the only time, kids, things that we don't want you to know about, presents and that kind of thing, are really the only time that we'll directly message that's not in some kind of conversation that you're in. That makes sense. Okay, so we've got a 4 and a 2.
There we go.
There is hope, though. I think if you try communicating ahead of time and develop that plan, like Candy Thunder was saying, it makes good sense, and it's proactive planning toward a solution. Right now, getting upset after the fact and being reactive about it is not proving fruitful for you at all. So do something before the problem starts or before it happens and you're going to get mad. And at least that way you've done something to try to avoid it. If you try to be proactive and she still bucks against that, either you just have to accept that you're on your own here and you two are operating as individuals, not a team. And if you're okay with that, fine. But if you're not, then this is a deeper relationship issue.
Right. And they are in they're 24 and 25, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's young. And I know in my 20s, I'm very selfish compared to what I was now. So.
Well, sure. I think that just, and they don't have kids. Like a lot of that changes whenever you have kids, you know?
Right. You come home at midnight after the kids. I'm like, you're on your own.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, you lose the ability to make selfish decisions when you have kids.
Right.
Not saying that that's a solution for this scenario. Like, don't have a kid is a solution. That ain't going to work. That doesn't work. Okay. Let's go ahead and jump into our third and final story for part 1 here. You ready?
I am ready.
Let's rock and roll. This one is actually from the advice subreddit. I don't know that I've read anything from the advice subreddit yet. Have I? You pick them out.
No, I think this is the first one.
Holy cow. We have a first, ladies and gentlemen. And it's happening with Candy Thunder here. All right. This one doesn't have... Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. All right. My 28 female sister, 35 female, is demanding I either abort or let her adopt my baby. Demanding?
Oh, just wait.
I don't like it. I, 28 female, am currently 19 weeks pregnant. My partner, 29 male, and I are very excited as this is our first baby and we've been trying for a few months. We announced the pregnancy a month ago at a dinner party we hosted, and everyone seemed surprised and overjoyed. My sister, 35 female, who I will call Kay, immediately burst into tears and asked me how I could do this to her. I stared at her and asked, "What?" She started ranting, saying that I always got everything I wanted, which is not true. I worked hard for all that I have, and that she knew I got pregnant just so I could rub her infertility in her face. She screamed at me for 5 minutes about how I didn't deserve to be a mother and how she should be the one pregnant right now. My parents left with her soon after, and the party was basically over. I was really disturbed by my sister's actions because we had been pretty close before, and she had never done anything like this. Kay called me the next day, apologizing for how she acted at my announcement and asked if we could meet up for coffee. I accepted. We met up and she pretended as if nothing had happened. Then she started a big speech about her infertility, how heartbreaking it is to be growing life inside of her just to lose it, and how she always wanted children of her own. She then proceeded to ask me if I could consider getting an abortion to make things fair, or letting her adopt my baby. I stared at her and asked if she was serious. Kay said she was. I just dropped my part of the bill on the table and left. What the f***?
Yeah.
This is f***ed up. Elle texted me a rant that night about how I made Kay cry and how all they wanted was to be parents and that this meant so much to them and I owed them for being more successful than them. I and my partner invested many years into our jobs and we have worked very hard to earn what we have now. I told them that my partner and I had been hoping for kids too and I was not giving up my baby. He hung up. She later sent me a long letter, 4 pages, about how she had always wanted to be a mother and could I consider either abortion or letting her adopt my baby, how I should care about my older sister's happiness, how she would make a better mom, how the oldest kid should have the first grandchild, and how I could always just have another baby since it was so easy for me to conceive. Oh, this is going in a very dangerous direction. After that, she quieted down some, and I thought we were done with this, except it wasn't. She had posted my sonogram on her Facebook and captioned it, "Elle and I are expecting. We can't wait to meet our little princess." Dude, this is heading in a very dangerous direction very rapidly. I was seeing...
Do you want to stop and just go to the next story?
No.
Oh, okay. You seem really upset.
Well, I am upset. This is disturbing. I was seeing red. I texted her and demanded she takes the post down. No reply. I texted Elle. No reply. So I called my mother and told her what happened. She was able to make Kay take the post down. Luckily enough. Kay has called me petty for calling my mom and has continued to demand I give up my baby. I sent her a letter explaining that I had had enough of her nonsense. I am keeping my baby and that I recommend she get some help. I added that if she continues, I will not hesitate to call 999. What is 999?
Maybe the version of 911 somewhere
For
else.
wherever they are?
Yeah. I don't know. People in the captions people in the comments will let us know.
This weekend, however, was the absolute last straw. My mom and dad had the spare key to my house, and while she was over at their house for brunch, she took the key. While my partner and I were at work, she broke into our house, stole all of the clothing, blankets, nappies, bottles, and pretty much any other item that we had bought for the baby except furniture. It was later returned after my mom found it in her car. I called 999, but they told me I couldn't do anything because they had no proof and because it was all returned. My partner and I are moving in April, but I'm scared my sister will find out where we live and take my child. I get that she's upset and jealous due to her infertility, but that shouldn't mean I have to give up my baby. My parents know about this, and they've been doing their best to get her some help. She doesn't want to adopt because she wants a child that's her own flesh and blood. I'm due in August, and the stress she's causing cannot and will not be good for me or the baby. My partner is looking into a cease and desist letter. Is there anything else I should do or say? I'm scared for my baby. Update 3/28/22. The support I've received from this website is overwhelming. Thank you for all your comments. Although I couldn't reply to them all, they are appreciated. We had the locks changed, cameras installed, and a Ring doorbell. I've started saving every letter and screenshotting every message my sister has sent and plan on taking them to court for a restraining order very soon. We have also been very seriously documenting everything. My husband and I are planning a trip to Ireland for our anniversary next week, and it's going to be good to clear our heads for my sister. From my sister. I've called 999 to report her for harassment, and they gave her a warning. She's contacted me saying that if I won't give her my child, I can at least pay for multiple rounds of IVF, which I have not replied to other than refusing. She's been begging my parents to convince me to give up my baby, which they refuse to do. They have also been given a statement that basically says if they give her my contact information, they will not see my baby, to which they have agreed. Sorry. I've since changed my phone number and we're moving very soon. My sister does not know our new address. She actually stood on our stoop for 20 minutes a few days ago, banging on our door and yelling. My husband opened a window and told her that if she didn't leave, he would let the dog out and threatened to call the police. We have a rather small but hyper puppy who jumps on everyone and barks a lot, and she is quite scared of dogs actually, so this made her leave. I started working from home last week, as did my husband, and we followed the advice of one of the comments, washed all the baby stuff as well as made sure none of the food in our kitchen was messed with. None was, luckily. We're planning on getting a restraining order as soon as possible and looking forward to our trip. I'm already sick of being pregnant, and I'm not even in the third trimester. I just want my baby. Thank you all again for your wonderful advice, and I may update you again when the baby is born. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like I don't like it at all. I don't like it.
Do you want to just skip it?
No, I already read the damn thing. We have to talk about it now, but I'm curious what your thoughts are because I am just disgusted and terrified, and this woman needs help. There's no way that she should be out roaming around freely whenever.
No, but here's the part that I don't get is that her husband was willing to go along with this. Like, I mean, I understand infertility. I mean, we struggled with it for 5 years to have Navy. And we gave up multiple times. And I can't imagine. And while we had other children, yes, I can't imagine ever feeling this way or ever getting to a point in my life where I feel entitled and jealous and just a complete disregard for another human being where I think I can take something of theirs like that. That is just.
Yeah. I mean, there's trauma, there's mental instability, and then there's evil.
Yeah.
And this hits the evil meter for me. Like the shit that comes out of her mouth and the things that she's willing to do with no remorse are blind to any kind of conscience. This is not acceptable behavior in any form of society. This is not okay. This puts everyone at risk. In the instant that someone started acting in a way that put you or any of our family in danger, I would be doing a hell of a lot more than opening a window and threatening to let the dog out.
Right. If she was there for 20 minutes on their doorstep, they should have called the police.
Way before then.
Had her arrested.
Way before then. Like I'm not gonna wait for something bad to happen.
Right.
Like they're
she's mentally, I mean, unhinged at this point.
right.
And this was her trigger for unraveling, was her sister announcing that she was pregnant because, like she said, you get everything you want. And, you know, if you're not going to give me if you're not going to give me your baby, then pay for IVF, which.
Well, before that, it was get an abortion or give me your baby. So she's got this mentality that if she can't have that baby, no one can, which is a direct threat against that child's life.
Right.
And that's.
And this is this was a story from the end of March.
That's jail time. That's institutionalization. That is, you don't get to stay out.
I wouldn't say jail. I would say that she needs to be an inpatient somewhere, so that her mental health can be assessed and taken care of in the way that it needs to be.
But like you said, her husband is right there with her.
That's true. So
this is a premeditation thing. This is not an individual being unhinged thing. Either they're unhinged as a couple or they're diabolically plotting. And if she's
saying those things, I mean, it seems to me that no piece of paper is going to stop her. So they're moving, they're doing the right thing.
Do you think she's obviously passionate and dedicated enough for not even that to slow her down?
I think that the parents need to cut ties with their older daughter. I don't think they have a choice at this point. I mean,
I think they have a responsibility to do more than that. They have a responsibility to make sure that she gets institutionalized. If not for her own good, for the safety of this unborn baby.
Right.
If not their own child as well, but for everyone's good, this woman cannot be allowed to be out threatening the lives of children. By taking all the baby stuff and posting that sonogram as her own, they threatened kidnapping.
Do you know, this reminds me of the sister in the story where no one was allowed to bring a baby around her.
Yeah.
Because she couldn't have a baby of her own. And I know that infertility makes you, it makes jealousy, it's hard. Like, I respect that fact and I understand how it feels to see somebody else have a baby while you're trying so hard to have a baby. And that, it hurts and it sucks, but there's no excuse for what she's doing to her sister. It's her freaking sister, not to mention the fact that that's her family. Like, she could have had the opportunity to be an aunt to this child.
Yeah, she could have been the fun aunt. And
she could have had such a great relationship with this child, but she chose jealousy. Maybe it isn't a mental thing. Because she said they have more money than them. They feel entitled to that money because she wants to take it for multiple rounds.
Entitled to the baby or the money.
Maybe it's not about that. I don't know. It's insane is what it is.
Yeah.
And it makes me sad.
Okay, but in other cases of infertility, making people do things that are out of character, they still know right and wrong. And in those other cases, like saying, you can't bring babies around me. Yes, it was ridiculous, but they never threatened a child's life. They never took actions that were indicative of planning kidnapping. They never did things that completely stepped over the humanity lines.
Right. This is so far across that line that
this is a messed up Netflix series waiting to happen.
Right.
And it's terrifying. I don't know. I'm terrified and disgusted. And the ascon scale isn't even applicable here because we're talking about levels of evil and danger and instability that are insurmountable.
No, it's disgusting behavior. I don't know what I would do if I was in the OP situation. I don't know how I would handle it. Being pregnant is just hard in itself. Plus, adding on the stress of a situation like this is I don't know. That would be.
So it would be insanely difficult.
Mm-hmm.
There's this fatherly trigger that is like you've threatened my child.
Right.
Kind of trigger. And I know exactly what I would do. I just can't talk about it in this podcast. But there is like, you threaten my family, you threaten my wife, you threaten my child. Now you get to deal with me.
Right. I do feel like they should have done more to protect themselves. And while doing, changing the locks, getting cameras, all of that was what they should have done. But I feel like there's more that they could have done to protect themselves from this woman.
If they're doing as well as it sounds like they're doing, then they probably need to have some kind of, I'm not going to say armed guard, but some kind of human surveillance happening there to watch their premises.
Right.
Cameras can only capture what's happening, right? It's not going to prevent it from happening. Your security system is a great idea. But that's not stopping her, right? Like, she's still showing up. She's still standing on your door for 20 minutes. You still have to leave the house at some point, and you need to be ready to defend yourself, I guess.
Right. And they both said that they had to transition to working from home.
Yeah.
Because of this situation. I mean, this woman is uprooting their entire life.
Right. Well, and her husband, who has already voiced that he's on the same page with her, he hasn't even showed up yet. But at some point he will.
Right. Well, he called her.
He called her, but I'm saying he hasn't physically showed up yet.
Right.
And when he does, it's a completely different scenario. I don't know. It's dangerous and it's sickening, and you don't get to behave like this and remain free floating in society.
No, I agree.
You don't get to. You're a danger to others and a danger to yourself at this point, but you're a danger to others. And
I'm scared for the OP.
Yeah.
And because it doesn't take much to figure out where somebody lives. I mean, the internet has made that quite easy.
Right.
Which is also scary.
Yeah, and as passionate about this as she is, I expect her to attempt it, to hunt them down. Okay, so let's move on from this, because I want to erase this from my brain forever. And also, let's never read a story like this again. Deal?
Deal.
I can't. I just, this kind of evil, and the stories that are out there about crazy shit that happens like this. Whenever you catch the headline and start reading the story and start talking to me about it, I am immediately like, nope.
Yeah, I didn't even think about this when someone actually sent the link, I think, to us for the original post or something. I can't remember how we found it. Maybe it was like a best of Redditor updates. I don't remember how, but someone had sent us a link and I found the story and I was like reading it and I couldn't believe what I was reading.
It's madness.
Yeah.
But there's this, and my explanation, whenever you start talking to me about those headlines and those stories that are like real shit that's happening in the world and it's just insanely dark, I actively choose to not allow that darkness into my head because I can't. I feel like I'm spinning 80 plates at one time, and if I let something like that into my head, it infects other thoughts, and it's a poison that I just can't. Like, these kinds of stories.
Which leads us into our next thing, which somebody asked. Angel asked, what is one interest each of you has that the other just doesn't get?
What's yours?
What you just talked about. I am obsessed with reading news articles and pop culture, and you have zero interest in that. You almost hate that I read that stuff because I want to talk to you about it. I don't hate
that you read it. I hate that you want to talk to me about it because I can't. Like, my view on thought capacity is that your brain is a hard drive, and like you have so much space to allow in during a given day, and I just feel like I have to be very selective about what I let in.
No, I get that. That's you managing your self-care.
Right.
And I feel like me reading those stories is, I don't know if it's an escape from time. it doesn't affect me the way that it affects you, which is why like documentaries and stuff, they don't affect me
Right.
The way that they affect you. And I normally watch those by myself, like the documentaries and stuff like that. I enjoy watching that stuff and it doesn't bother me. But and what Tony is someone that actually enjoys reading this stuff, the pop culture part, the news part. So we have that in common, and that's something that I could talk to with him.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get it.
So what is your interest?
I mean, I have a lot of things that you aren't into or get. I mean, I do PC gaming, and you've done some gaming, like you.
I love Spyro.
She loves playing Spyro.
And
when it came out on Xbox, she was like, "We have to hook it up."
Oh my gosh! When I ordered your G Fuel, the Spyro cup the other day, I was like, "Oh, I want to bring the Xbox downstairs so I can play Spyro."
Oh man!
And then I think Navy could just she would enjoy watching me play Spyro because it's like a cartoon, and she could play with me.
Yeah.
I'm sure that would last for like 5 minutes.
Well, once she gets to the point where she can actually, have that level of dexterity and understand how to work a controller.
Oh, that controller would not be turned on.
Oh,
she would just be there pretending to play.
That she would have a blast doing.
Like when we were younger and we got the unplugged controller because there wasn't a wireless controller.
Yes, there you go. But I've got a bunch of other hobbies that are things that you aren't into. I do. I don't frequent the shooting range anymore. But I still go whenever I can, and now that's something that my oldest son, Caden, and I go do is like bonding time together, and that's fun. But really, it's whenever my hobbies have greatly reduced, just based on possible time. But right now, I'm currently trying to learn piano a little tiny bit at a time. I play some guitar, and do some PC gaming, and then we'll do some shooting. What are your favorite flavors and kinds of cake?
So this is funny because I had COVID in December 2020 and lost my taste and smell, and it's still so messed up. So I'm pretty limited. And right now it's basically just vanilla. I can handle coconut, I think was the one. I ate coconut cake yesterday during your live because you were talking about cake and it was at my parents' house. And then I was like, oh, immediately regret that. Immediately regret eating sugar. Oh. But before that, I actually loved lemon cake, anything lemon flavored. And you have ate it for me before you told me that you didn't like it. Because I'm pretty sure you have ate it before.
I'm sure I tried it, but
you're like, no.
Yeah. It's like, I'll give it a shot. But there are a lot of things that I might not have liked before, might not have tried before, that I've tried since we've been together that I ended up liking. So,
what is your favorite?
Dirt cake.
Besides dirt cake, what is your favorite?
There is no other cake but dirt cake. I'm just kidding.
We are going to do that video where we make
We have to.
We're going to make dirt cake. We'll let Navy Thunder be involved with that one.
Okay. But then I get to eat it all, right?
We'll see.
I'll eat it all in one setting on camera.
There's a video by itself. Just
It'll
eating
be my Hasselhoff moment. I'll lay on the floor with a bowl of dirt cake, just shoveling it in.
Oh, dirt cake is so good, though.
It is it's damn good. Angel food cake is my second favorite.
Oh, that's right. Your grandma makes it really great with the icing,
Very
the really
fluffy.
thin icing.
It's like the glaze icing. Love angel food cake, and it's been forever since I had it. Yeah, it was your birthday in 2021. That was the last time you had, because she made you cupcakes and brought them over, and they were delicious. Gosh, they're so good.
Okay, one more question, and then we'll save the rest of them.
What are your favorite things about each other? Least favorite things?
My favorite thing about you is I love how talented you are. I love that you try new things and you try to master those new things. Oh, and I also love that you can pick up the rhythm and beat of a song like that, just so quickly. It fascinates me because I am not musical at all. I hope Navy gets that from you. She's very into music and dance, so I hope that she has that.
She can detect beats of Bluey theme songs. She knows when
to say Bluey and Mom and Dad.
She knows when things are happening. I think she's going to have that internal rhythm too. And for Candy Thunder, guys, there are a million things that I just adore about her, but she has this creativity that never ceases to impress me. And she can just see these things and has this style sense, and not just in like clothing and appearance and like the cosmetic side of things. It generally in the aesthetic side of things. She has this eye that is unbeatable, and has just knack for style that is just really, really cool. And she worked in interior design before moving up here, and I pulled her into the marketing world, and worked in marketing before I even did that. So, she has this knack for that, but also has this really, really funny sense of humor. And she and I together are complete nerds with our sense of humor. And she'll comment often about how, no one else would get the kind of crap that we laugh at each other about.
We are funny people.
We are funny. We're funny as
Yeah. It's amazing. That's probably my most favorite thing to do with you, is to just laugh my ass off, because comes so naturally to us. Like there's no effort given. Like we can just make each other laugh all the time. And I love that so much. Least favorite things. I know one right off the top of my head.
Your least favorite thing about me?
Yeah.
Oh shit. That was fast.
Yeah.
I'm worried.
No, it's so small.
Don't be careful. No, you can't.
It's so.
You better roll right into what that thing is. You can't just say my least favorite thing about you. I know it right off the top of my head. It's so small. Stop right there. You can't. You're not allowed.
Okay, so he takes these snack cups, and they're just like cups that you would use for water, and he puts like chips in them or snacks, Ritz crackers, like something that him and Navy can share. But then he sets the cup on the counter, and it still has crumbs in it. And then I put it in the dishwasher because I think that there's nothing in it. But then there's crumbs in it, and then they fall out to the dishes below and it's like a little mucky mess. That's not a word, but I made a mucky mess.
Okay. So you could thank my dad for the snack cup thing, because he I'm fairly certain started the whole snack cup thing, and I think my sister does it too. But it's convenient. It's a convenient way to have like crackers or chips or pretzels or that kind of thing, and to have it in a cup. It's harder to spill, and for Navy or for the dogs, it's harder to get into. So it's my preferred snack carrying method. But whenever I set it on the counter, because I'm like, I'm going to use that again here in a little bit. But then if I just leave it there and she takes it, and I don't rinse it out ahead of time. So what I've started doing is dumping out all the crumbs every time I'm passing the trash can when it's empty. That way I avoid that, because she has voiced that this is an annoyance of hers. So, sorry. So
no, I'm not actually mad about it. Annoyed, but not like super. I'm not super annoyed about this, but I don't like. You know how I feel about like wet food. Like it really grosses me out. Like
the wet food when you have to reach your hand into the sink and pull something out of this.
I will never do that. I use tongs to do that, because I will not. I'm afraid that it's going to randomly turn on and just chop up my hand. I have this. Put that on my list of fears. There's 4.
It's not unfounded.
It happened in a movie, and I don't know what movie it was, but I know it happened in a movie, and it like randomly came on. It might have been like one of the Final Destinations or something. I don't know.
That's a terrible way to go.
Right. Or like, what would happen to your hand? Like how mangled, you know how fast that thing spins? Yeah. Legitimate fear. Not putting my hand down there.
What was the term that they used in Grey's Anatomy for like the chopped fish?
Oh, ceviche?
Ceviche, yeah. I lose man points for even knowing to connect the dots that direction, but ceviche, that's what it made me think of. Speaking of movies, if y'all have ever seen the M. Night Shyamalan Hamadam movie, Signs, was it Signs? Mm-hmm. Whenever there are cups of water like all over the house, and it ends up being a good thing because like the daughter was prepping for the aliens, and that's how they fought it. Sometimes our house feels like that. Because Candy Thunder has no less than 7 drinks with her at all times. And it's not a dislike. It's just a quirk that I'm like, what the hell? But
it bothers Tony.
Doesn't have 7, but legit has 3.
Yes, 3
at
drinks.
all times.
3.
And if she drives my vehicle, there are at least 2 cups left behind because she can only carry 3 with her. So there were 5 at that point in time. There are a lot of drinks involved. That's not even like a dislike. It's just like I don't get it.
No, I do so many things that you don't get, that you're like, but why?
Yeah. Why for you do that?
Yeah.
Okay. We better wrap this up because the smash room upstairs is already making noise.
I was going to say, is that what that is?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we have our own AITA coming for you soon.
Yep. It is, am I the asshole for not wanting there to be a smash room right above my recording studio? A rage room.
We have no right to peace and quiet.
Apparently.
That's what we were told.
Yep.
There's a difference between peace and quiet and a rage room.
Yeah.
And smashing glass.
Dear God, I just don't.
So if you hear something in the background, that's what it is.
If it sounds like, there's a bomb going off and the building's collapsing on us, it's because it pretty much is. Anyway, we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. Part 2 will be coming at you soon. We're going to record that on a different day. So we'll get into the 3 stories that will be part of Part 2 at a later time. For now, Candy Thunder, thank you so much for being here for your second go around.
Yes, thank you.
With the podcast. And at some point here, there will be a Thunder and Spark podcast with you and Tony.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about pop culture and news stories that Dustin does not want to be a part of.
Fine. Save all those for that. That's absolutely fine. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We'll have part 2 of the Candy Thunder, part 2-2, podcast 2 here shortly.
You lost me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.